Okay, so chances are you're probably using Google Chrome or Safari as your main web browser. I know I'm currently using Google Chrome. And when you think about it, most of them are kind of boring. They all basically have the same layout with all the tabs at the top, the relatively non-customizable design, and the boring UI. But recently I found out about a not so new browser called Arc browser, which I need to give credit to David and Mel from because he's who I found out about it from. Arc is made by a relatively new company called the Browser Company. Essentially, it's a browser based on Chromium, which is also what Chrome is based off of. And in my opinion, the most useful feature on this app is mainly to do with tab management and overall creating a kind of more productive workspace, as well as a nice aesthetic app that makes the browser experience feel kind of lighter and more enjoyable. I see this as mainly a productivity app, and you'll see why, because the people who made this browser clearly put so much work into it, and I can see myself not needing to switch back to Chrome for a while. So here's a quick overview of the layout. In the center, you have the main browser, which looks very familiar because it's based off of Chromium, so obviously it looks pretty much exactly the same as Chrome. But the sidebar is where most of the cool, important features are. The most basic feature is probably just the pinned apps at the corner of the screen. You can choose up to 4 pinned tabs to keep there at all times, and they will never go away. These you can keep for your most important stuff. And a cool feature with some tabs is that when you just hover over the icon of the tab, it gives you a quick preview of what's inside. So for example, if you have Gmail pinned here, you can just hover over it and see if you've gotten a new email, which is pretty useful. Or if you have like Google Calendar, hovering over it gives you your events for the day. The browser company also seems to clearly understand how much of a pain switching browsers can be, so they've clearly tried to put as much work into streamlining this process as much as possible. They let you choose which browser you want to import everything from. You do this pretty easily by going to Arc in the menu bar and choosing import from another browser. Then you can choose the browser you want to import from. You have a choice between Chrome, Safari, and Firefox. Then you can choose to import all of your passwords, or Chrome extensions, or bookmarks, or all of them. But I don't really like how they handle the imported Chrome bookmarks, where they put them all in a folder of bookmarks that's embedded inside another folder at the top that's called imported from Chrome. This honestly just makes the whole process of finding a bookmark slightly longer than Chrome, because in Chrome they're all at the top, but in Arc they have to be a couple clicks away. But honestly, I don't really know how they could fix this issue without sacrificing the kind of clean and minimal look that they've created while still giving you as easy access to your bookmark tabs as on Chrome. Okay, so Arc also has this pretty cool feature called spaces. It's a pretty simple idea. You can make different spaces for different projects or different parts of your web browsing experience. You could dedicate one space to be strictly for work and another one to be strictly for entertainment, or however you want to set it up. And then there's even more flexibility because you also have the option to make folders of tabs in those spaces so that they don't get messy and you can keep track of your work or projects. This is especially useful for researchers or any type of research where you're working on multiple projects at a time and you don't want the tabs to get mixed up among them. This sounds like the most simple feature, but this is probably one of the most useful things on this app. Another way they help you to keep your tabs in check is by distinguishing between a pinned section in your tabs list and a dedicated today list. Basically, the pinned tabs are going to stay there like every other pinning system in the world, but the today tabs get archived after a set period of time, which you get to decide. It's after 12 hours when you first install the app. There's also a really neat feature, which is basically a glorified snipping tool. If only Microsoft had this in the whole of Windows. Anyways, you just click the photo icon on the search bar, and you can easily click and drag to choose which part of the browser to screenshot. But what's really cool is that the snipping tool magnetizes to specific parts of the browser that you're looking at, which is insane. So for example, if you're on YouTube, you can just hover over a thumbnail or just the description box or a specific comment on the video and then just clip that with perfect borders. I just think that's a really cool smart feature. And once you take the screenshot, there's a bunch of things you could do with it. You could share it via iMessage, share it via email, copy it, save the image, or you could add it to an easel. And that takes us on to the Notes and Easels feature, which I personally don't use that much, but I can imagine it being really helpful for a large group of people. You can take the image you took from the screenshot and add it to an easel, or you can make a new note, which is basically a browser version of the Apple Notes app, because both of them are pretty simple. But I don't even care that much because the Note UI just looks so fun and friendly and genuinely makes me want to use it more, and I probably will. It sounds like I'm just kind of listing my favorite features about this browser without any structure, but that's fine. Because another really cool feature is for when you're playing a video and you switch desktops on your Mac. It automatically has a mini player for you without you needing to mess around with any settings or having to click a bunch of buttons for it to happen. It just appears and it's always ready. In the bottom left corner, there's also a downloads icon. You literally just hover over it and you can view your recent downloads, drag and drop, and it makes everything about importing videos from Google Drive or uploading PDFs so much easier. This is honestly one of those factors that makes me want to switch to this browser, even though it's still one of the most simple ones. Now that all just sounded like a bunch of really positive things about Arc, because honestly, I can't really think of anything to actually criticize about it, because I think it does exactly what it says in a really nice, clean package. Apart from, I guess, how they handle the bookmarks that are imported from Chrome, which honestly, I don't know what they could do about that. But there's also a bug I experienced maybe twice only, I think, which happened when I was playing a video on YouTube and I switched the desktop on my Mac and went back, and the audio was delayed by around 4 or 5 seconds. And they're constantly updating the software as well. I have an update right now that I haven't done, which might even fix that issue. Okay, so in conclusion, I'm going to be using this as my main web browser for the time being until something better comes out, which isn't super unlikely because recently it seems like a bunch of new web browsers have been coming out. Another really similar one is Sigma OS, which is another one I really want to try because that seems to have a similar concept to Arc. Maybe I'll make a comparison video eventually. But for the time being, I definitely recommend giving Arc a shot, even though you will have to wait a while before you can download it on Windows. And it's also not fully out on Mac, so you do need to visit their website and input your email address, and then they'll send you an email once they're ready to give you a download link for Arc. But other than that, I think it's kind of rare to see a piece of tech or software that's so tailored for both the tech-savvy audience and just the general user that wants to stay organized on their browser. And I can bet everyone would benefit from the extra organization from this browser, so I definitely do recommend trying it out for yourself. So huge thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed this video or found it useful, and if you did, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.